Officially week 1 in the NFL.
Yeah.
We made it, guys.
Yeah.
We made it.
We did it, guys.
And no better way to start the week on the CHGO Bears podcast.
Wow.
Welcome in
Royalty.
Adam Amin
Go.
in studio with us, who is calling Sunday's game against the Titans. Little home game for you?
Well, home game for me. Listen, I know this is a Bears show, but I'm here to talk about Will Levis and only Will Levis, and let's leave it at that. This is the only thing I care about talking about.
You're going to say
today.
Will Gottlieb of CHGO Bulls.
I'm very confused as to what show I'm doing right now.
Yes. You are now on the payroll. Welcome.
Studio every week. Blackhawks next week.
Thanks for coming in again.
Zawoski's like, I don't want to deal with this idiot who knows nothing about hockey.
Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, Greg Braggs Jr. with you. Nick's in the house, too. Nick's going to join us in the next segment, and we're all going to be together the back half of the show to give our official season predictions for 2024, our bold predictions for the season, our locks of the year. We got it all coming up on the second half of the show. But kicking it off with Adam Amin in studio, before we get into some Bear stuff, you're going to be with Mark Sanchez.
Yep.
This season. First game against the Titans. Just how you feeling about the Fox team? What you guys got coming? It's that time of year.
Bears legend Mark Sanchez, Bears backup legend Mark Sanchez, 2017. We have our same production crew for the most part. I've had the same production crew pretty much for this is our 5th year together now. So we got a chance to do a preseason game together on national TV, which doesn't, that's a pretty big deal to actually get a little bit of, run before the season actually begins. So we did 49ers Saints a few weeks back. We got a great rhythm going right off the bat. This is the first time I've worked with like a quarterback who's my age, because typically when I was coming up, the quarterbacks were still playing. So for Mark, who just got out of the league a few years ago, did some college football at ESPN, did studio there. Then I think this is year number 4 for him on NFL on Fox. He's a very easy guy to get along with. Our reference points are more similar, him being literally a month older than me. So I'm pumped, man. I'm really excited for it, and he is too. I talked with some Titans people. They're excited about their team. We're excited about our broadcast. So like Sunday in a week where there aren't like a lot of marquee games on any of the networks really, outside of Thursday night where, I think Chiefs Ravens is an awesome game. There aren't like a ton of marquee games over the course of week 1. So I feel like there's a lot of really good matchups, and I think our game falls into that category.
So can we go ahead, Greg?
That was it. I was just agreeing.
Yeah, well, okay. Oh, good.
I'm excited for the Bears
agreement.
Game. It's a shocker.
I just you're living like beyond like even I would assume for yourself like your wildest dreams. Like I get to call the Bulls games. I am on Fox doing the Bears. That's got to be beyond dream come true for you. Like how do you keep the young part of you that just wants to like root it in versus like the professional guy that you become?
I think admittedly the longer you do this, the more jaded you get. And not like necessarily a negative way. It's just part of it becomes, the routine. You have to. I'm sure there's going to be, if the Titans go up 10-0, I'm sure there's going to be Bears fans in my mentions pissed because they're like, you're supposed to be one of us. And yeah, I am, but I don't get to
just be Greg.
It'll just be Greg being like, I knew I hated this guy from the start. I hated Amin. I've said it from the beginning. That's okay. That's part of the deal. I care about what fans think, but I can't let it affect how I do the job because I have my job for a reason. I'm good at what I do. I didn't always feel comfortable saying that and declaring that, but objectively, I'm good at my job. How good I am is completely subjective. I think if you think I'm like off that day, that's fine. If you're happy that I'm calling your team because they're playing well, that's fine too. Everybody's right. If you think I suck, you're right too. But I feel objectively good at what I do based on how I've been fortunate enough to, move up at Fox, get to do the Chicago Bulls. Like, I'm very fortunate, but I know how to do the job. And if it's not as fun to listen to because your team's not playing as well, I totally get that. I'm happy to be a punching bag for it. But that also adds to a little bit of the jadedness, which only makes me want to do the job a little bit more objectively.
Well, you are very good at what you do. But if we're going to talk about criticisms in the preseason, Adam, I did tweet at you, your telestrator going into the game. Did you break this down afterwards and look at it? Because you were drawing the kickoff rule.
Yep.
And your lines were all over the
Bad
place.
lines.
Like, this wasn't John Madden level yet.
Is
like,
this me throwing Jimmy under the bus now? Because
oh, Jimmy did the line.
mostly the analysts handle the
I was
telestrators, and
gonna
Jimmy.
say,
Well, we all blamed you.
Why-
You know what?
Watching
But that's
TV.
the thing.
You caught the strings.
I have to be ready to stand in front of my people.
Why
and
didn't
that's
you
fine.
just throw Jimmy under the bus for the terrible lines?
That's not how we do it. We
I
don't do
would've
that
done
on the
it
air.
exactly
I would
what
have
we
done
do
it
here.
anyway because immediately I'm going, wait a minute, why would Adam have been working the telestrator?
Well, we all blamed you on Bears Twitter. So
That's
why you
fine.
gotta
Like I said,
you gotta bus toss Jimmy.
I can't. I'm doing it now. Now that Jimmy's resting comfortably in his home in Michigan, I think it's okay to let everybody know the secrets of the team, pull the curtain back a little bit, and let people know. Like it's. I would rather do a job where people care. What's the old saying? Anger is better than apathy when it comes to the games that you're doing or whatever it is in sports in general. I think with fan bases, but I'd rather have people upset because at least they're emotionally invested in the game. I'm sure their perspectives are going to be skewed because that's your job. You get to be skewed. I, in the preseason, get to be a little bit more skewed. I get to be more excited for certain things that the Bears do than I am for the Chiefs or the Bills or whoever. Like, but come Sunday, like if Will Levis is playing well, I'm going to get excited for that because that's the job. I get excited doing the games. And Carm, to your original point, that's why it doesn't go away. That's why the fun of it never goes away because it's still sitting in a booth, calling a football game, calling basketball game, baseball, whatever it is. It's still fun to see people do cool stuff. And when that happens, I get emotionally invested. I get excited about it because I know there's a whole city that's excited about what's going on right now too. So that's why it's still fun.
Well, also, if you appreciate great athletes,
Absolutely,
in sport, then you're going to appreciate great performances.
It's why we do what we do. I can't hit a ball 400 feet. I can't slam dunk, and I can't, run a 75-yard run for a touchdown. I can't do these things. So to watch people who are of the same species do those things, be like, this is pretty cool that these people are capable of doing all these things. That's why we do what we do, because we like observing it and documenting it and contextualizing it.
So, speaking of the preseason, what are some of the biggest things you felt like you learned about the Bears?
We'll start with Caleb because that's obviously, top of mind for everybody. Real deal in terms of the talent level that we were taught, that we were kind of spoken to about and what we were pitched. Like the things that make him special, that separate him, are there. They are for real. They are the ability outside the pocket, which we saw a lot of at the collegiate level, to do it in the NFL level. And again, he's going to have some, I'm guarantee you he will throw a pick on a pass outside the pocket. It's just going to happen at some point because you can tell he's confident in it. The fact that he has enough wherewithal to be able to throw that ball while on the move, while off platform, into a specific spot, more often than not where a receiver and not a defender is going to be able to get it, that's a big deal for a team that is still going to be trying to find its way in the first half of the NFL schedule. Like, we all saw the schedule. The first half is a little bit softer. Second half is one of the toughest, I think, in the NFL because you're playing all good divisional teams. I think the NFC North's really good this year, even though Minnesota, without McCarthy, is going to have some struggles, and I know defensively they've got a lot of holes. This is still a really good division. So that back end of the schedule with the division games and San Francisco and Seattle is going to be really hard. But I think that first half of the schedule, you're going to see Caleb be outside the pocket a little bit. Offense is going to try to get on the same page, and I think his ability to make plays outside the pocket is exceptional. Plus his command of what we've seen. Everybody's already rallied around him. It helped that he was named the starter in May, so nobody's really questioning him at all. So that's a big deal to start. I like where the defense is at. To get a little bit of help from Montez Sweat on the edge, I think is the biggest key for this team. I have no concern about the linebackers. I have little concern about the secondary. I think Byard was a great addition. I have a lot of confidence in these corners. Jalen Johnson is still really young. In my head, he's like in his late 20s just because he seems like he's been around for so long. It's like year number, 5 or 6 or 5 for him now,
yeah,
right?
5, yeah.
So it seems like he should have been, in his late 20s already. He's still a young guy who's only, I think, going to get better. Tyreek Stevenson showed us a lot of good stuff.
Yep.
This is a homegrown secondary. Byard is a great addition. I'm not concerned with them. Booker, Walker, Taylor, if that triad can get you somewhere close to double-digit sacks, now this is a real team, I think, come second half of the season. The defense will be locked in at that point, and hopefully the offense is ramped up and caught up a little bit. So I think this is a big deal to see how sharp they were in the preseason. Even though we didn't see as many snaps for Sweat and the number ones, I have very little concern about them. I think special teams will be really good for this team. Taylor is a legitimate punter, which I know nobody wants to talk about or really cares about talking about.
He does.
This should be a field position positive team, I think, this year, based on special teams, punting when you have to flip the field, and I think their ability to keep drives alive with what Caleb can do outside the pocket. I think this should be a team that wins field position battles a lot.
So you say, Caleb Williams is the real deal. And for a lot of Bears fans, we're all kind of waiting on pins and needles for like that moment, like in the Matrix when Neo reveals himself as the one.
Yeah.
And we felt like maybe it was that happened in the preseason game when he threw that pass to Rome in the corner. Then the very next play runs it into the end zone.
Great
Absolutely
sequence.
Unbelievable play. So real deal on the field. I think we're all starting to see that. Excited to see it in the regular season. But I'm also curious about this aura that he has. Like when you talk about the different personalities, basketball, whatever different sport you've called, like this guy's another stratosphere of celebrity. You saw in the preseason game with the Chiefs where the little girl was crying when he hugged her. And like, how many players have you been around like this that have that reaction that the fans are giving him?
Being around really good quarterbacks, they all have this similar sense. I'm not making this comparison at all. It's just an example that's fresh in my head because we saw him a couple of weeks back. I saw Brady. He was in the booth for the preseason game that we were doing. He was doing kind of a practice run with Kevin Burkhardt for their run up. And I've interviewed Tom probably a half dozen times. Did a bunch of Tampa Bay Bucks games his last couple of years when he was still playing. And I think I did his final regular season game, all that. So I've interviewed him, talked to him. We were around each other in Los Angeles for our Fox seminar, and within 5 minutes, I think he owns a room. Like, it does not take long to see how quickly players of that caliber. Again, I know we're using the very, very, very top. Again, just an example that's fresh in my head. But this is most successful quarterbacks. They have a certain level of confidence, a certain level. I don't even like saying arrogance. I don't like using that word because I think it gives a negative connotation, but I understand that maybe the first word that comes to mind, there's a positive arrogance about them. I think most people see that, they recognize it. It may be kind of an intangible thing, but when you see it, you recognize it. And I think he's one of those guys that it's not fully there yet, but he walks in with that understanding of, I have a responsibility. I think Brady talked about that with us. He's like, I understand the position I'm in. I have a responsibility to be ahead of everybody. I have to know everything because they look at me when they screw something up or when they don't know something, they're going to be the ones looking at me for it. I think Mahomes is like that. I think Brady's like that. I think guys like Kirk Cousins are like that. Like Kirk Cousins walks into a room, his attitude, his demeanor says, hey, if you need something, I'm here. I will handle whatever you need in the position that I'm in because I understand the responsibilities that go along with it. So whatever word you want to use, aura, riz, swagger, confidence, arrogance, whatever it is, this is what we talk about when we say it factor. I think he has that. I think he has that it factor too. It doesn't automatically come with all the success,
right?
But it does give you at least a good platform for everybody else to rally around you to find success.
You just maybe come up with a new term for it, attractive arrogance. Like that's
sure.
Like there's some people are drawn to it. Oh, you know what you're talking about. You know what you're doing. That's
seeing people in their element, so to speak.
Would you say you were intimidated by Brady when you first started talking to him?
Yeah, he's like, you can't look into his eyes. It's weird. He's too handsome. People don't look like this. I don't look like this. None of us look like this.
That's
no
what
offense.
happens when we look at Nicholas Moreano.
Yeah, Moreano. Look, we see Nick, and it's like people don't look like this.
He is
you handsome jerk.
So
Tom Brady and Nick can never be in the same
Nick
room.
He's about to jump.
You know what? Actually, I don't think I've ever seen Tom and Nick in the same room. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
He's intimidating in the sense you understand the resume and the confidence and the charisma, but because he brings people in, that's the separator, because you can be a jerk about it. And I don't think Brady did not come off as a jerk about these things. So I think that's the separating factor.
Well, speaking of Nick, he's going to join us here in a second. We got more coming up with Adam Amin and, of course, our predictions for the season as well. We are welcoming back, though, as a sponsor with the regular season beginning, Empire Today. With Empire Today, you get shop-at-home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Think about places you might shop for things that's just like the one-stop shop that you want to go. That's what Empire Today is when it comes to flooring. It is the best place to go. And, of course, because of that, they have copycats, but Empire cannot be beaten on quality, service, speed. So competitors, what they'll do is advertise low-quality products that Empire simply won't carry. So because of that, Empire won't promise you the lowest prices because anybody who does that is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in their own home. They keep shopping for floors simple with a curated product selection, and they use their virtual floor designer, which is a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. It's easy. You just take a picture and instantly see how new floors will look in your room. They also service their own warranties. If an issue comes up at all with Empire, they service all their warranties themselves, so you won't have to track down a manufacturer's phone number. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details.
And this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Our friends at BetterHelp, they're doing the important things out there. Your self-care, it should be non-negotiable. Maybe you never, skip your workout day, but don't skip your therapy day. You got a ton going on, right? You've got kids' activities. You got work projects. You've got literally a zillion things. Preparing food, getting yourself ready for your meals. But don't let your priorities slip. Even when we know it makes us happy, it is hard to make time for it. But I do want to tell you, there's nothing better than making time for yourself. Make BetterHelp basically a non-negotiable for you. And it's like, when I think about BetterHelp, I think about elevating myself. It's sitting next to a guy like Adam. Like, how can you think about in your work? Like, how can you compete with the best? You need to get some support for that. And this man is, he's obviously done his own work to get to where he's got to do in his life. So, listen, think about it that way. Be your best self. Never skip therapy day. Do it with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/CHGO today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/CHGO. I'm going to give you a little, just a compliment here. I heard you late night, overnight. Danny Perkins, now on the national level, was doing a radiothon raising money for cancer, and it was like 1:30 in the morning, and I was at Camp Nebagamon at family camp, and I couldn't sleep. I put it on, and Amin's calling in at 1:30 in the morning in the middle of his Titans prep or Bears preseason prep, or whatever game prep, and you sounded exhausted, and you're like, and he's like, "Why are you up right now?" Well, man, I got to know these things. So I think there's just a little, how much time will you put in between now and Sunday to have every factoid where you feel like you can pull on it at any second?
I think the NFL and just football in general, for obvious reasons, it's the volume of players. And plus, it's the biggest thing we have in this country in terms of national sports. So the prep work is by far the most tasking. Now, listen, is it hard labor? No, we're just reading about football. Like, it's still stuff that we like thinking about, like talking about. But NFL for me will be anywhere from 12 hours of prep if I've done both teams already to like 20 if I haven't seen these teams yet. So I could call a game on like 1 day's notice, especially because I've done the NFL since 2012. So I have like a database of all my information and like games I've called. I keep my boards from the last 3 or 4 years just so I can refer back to some things. But anywhere from 12 to 20 hours of like locked in, sitting on my laptop, reading, researching, watching highlights. I don't watch like all 22 tape. That's not really something I need to do, but I like looking at highlights, like the highlight cut-ups for both teams from their at least their last game to see what we can observe from it. I'll watch Caleb's preseason snaps just to remember, just to refresh a couple things. But yeah, it's daunting, I think, for the NFL. Whereas an NBA game, especially doing the league, every night, essentially every couple nights, that's 3-4 hours, maybe at most, couple hours if we've seen the teams already. Baseball is a little taxing just because I only do one game a week, and I haven't done a game in a few weeks just because we've been doing football. So when I get back to it, that'll be, 7-8 hours of prep. But by far, the NFL is the most daunting thing we do, just by sheer volume alone of people.
I mean, you mentioned you have boards and things like that. I saw Tom Brady and how he's kind of keeping all of his playbook. Like, how does that
I thought
look
that was
for
cool,
you?
yeah.
That was pretty cool. But how does it look for you when you're kind of going back to, again, opponents that you've maybe watched before?
Sure.
How does it look like for you?
So I make my own charts. They're just on 8.5 by 11. It's 4 pages: offense, defense, offense, defense. And then on my iPad, I have like a Microsoft OneNote file on every team, and I'll go back to that. I have a whole prep process that I kind of go through to, if I can find it, I'll actually show it to you guys. Maybe you can post it or something if you want. But like, I'll go through everything they did last season, what the schedule's looking like this year. Obviously, this is week 1. They haven't played a game or anything like that. But if we're in week 7 or week 8, it's looking back at the game stories on all 6 or 7 games that they've played. So I need to pick out certain things that, hey, the left tackle blew an assignment on a bad sack in the 4th quarter of a week 3 game. I may need to reference that in week 9, right? So I need to have that small little piece of information just so I have some context for if he makes a great block in the 4th quarter of a game. Like we had Darnell Wright really play well against Aiden Hutchinson in Detroit last year, right? And then at the end of the game, Hutchinson got the big play at the end of the game, right? Hutchinson had a play similar to that in the first 3 weeks of the season. I was able to go back and refer to that. It's just context. Most of this stuff, does it really matter? Do you need to know as a Bears fan that Hutchinson did that? Not necessarily. If you're a Lions fan, are you going to be like the Leo DiCaprio meme? Like, oh yeah, he knew the thing. Like part of it is, stroking your own ego and bringing stuff in for the sake of bringing it in. But if it adds context to what you're watching and what we're delivering, I think that's the big thing. So that's why I pour through all these game stories and I pour through all these stories that we get. And obviously Fox helps us out. They send us a packet every morning for the teams that we're covering that week. So I have a Titans and Bears, probably a 15, 20-page clip section that I can just go through at my own, volition. I'll usually wait till like Monday afternoon to read the Sunday stories, and then I'll get to like Thursday once some of the injury reports have come in to kind of catch up on certain things. And in the meantime, I'm putting all the charts together. I'm putting all my notes together in my iPad. So all that stuff I come in with, knowing that of the 12 to 20 hours of prep we did, maybe like 10% of that stuff is going to get used. And most of that's really only good for like the first half. Because by the time you get to halftime, we're really focused on just that game, just what's happening in that game, breaking down the key plays of that game.
You really do need to be over-prepared, though. I mean, that's just
for the NFL,
the name
man.
of the game. I mean, even when I was doing sidelines at Northwestern, like, I don't know how many sideline reporters need to have like their own little boards, but I did that because I knew the Northwestern players, just like you with the Bulls. You know those guys. You call in all the games. But when it came to the opponents that week, like, you get big rosters in college football too. Like there's a lot going on there, and you got to have it on the fly when something happens.
And I don't sit there and memorize every number. Like I focus on skill guys. Like pregame is really important for me and my partner because like I'll stand in the booth while guys are going through their pass warm-ups and everything and be like, all right, that's 18, that's 84, all right, 14's Gerald Everett, 85's Cole Kmet, whatever it is. Like you're just trying to find stuff. Oh, that guy's wearing a red sleeve on his right arm. Let's make sure we focus that on this receiver that might get in the game if somebody gets hurt, or maybe he's the punt returner. So it's a quick identification. Identification is probably the thing that separates everybody in the NFL. It's just easier compared to college football just because there's not as many guys. But if I can identify somebody right away, and typically it's skill guys and like the leading tacklers and like corners mostly. Like everything else you can kind of get by not having to memorize it. But if I can at least identify it really quickly, then I don't have to look down. Because the big thing is I don't want to miss anything. I'm better when my eyes are on the field 98% of the time. Yeah. If I don't have to look down constantly at my notes while the game's going on, that's better for me so that I don't have to worry about anything else.
So do you have your OneNote on the Titans? Like how far are you ready to go on the Titans?
I'm not ready to go, but I've gotten most of my stuff.
I was going to say, this is a bad job by us. We've spent almost no time talking about the Tennessee Titans, and we're here. We talk a lot about the quarterback.
Sure.
You know. So what do you got on the Titans, even off the top of your head?
Sure.
Like, what's the scouting report on Tennessee?
So it's a brand new offense. So both teams are kind of going through similar circumstances right now, right? Brian Callahan comes in. It's his first NFL head coaching job. His dad, Bill, is one of the legendary offensive line coaches in the league. This is not a highly rated offensive line. They've had to rebuild it. We know Skoronski. Everybody remembers Peter from Northwestern playing left guard, but they have a new center. They had to get a left tackle who played right tackle in college, J.C. Latham, a really highly touted player in Alabama. So this is 2 years in a row they've spent a top 12 pick on their offensive line, and it's still not, there's a lot of questions about it. They don't have Derrick Henry anymore. So I like Tony Pollard. We remember a few years ago, right around Halloween against Dallas, where he ran for 3 touchdowns and ran all over the Bears defense. Like, he's a quality player, but they've really lack depth. I think their ones on both sides of the ball are really good. I think their defense is solid, but the depth is where you get into some problems. They don't have like a 4th receiver. They don't have a second tight end that you really feel confident in, right? Josh Wiley's good, but he's a second-year player. CHGO Bears is good, but he's a young player who still hasn't become a legitimate pass catcher, even though he had better numbers last year. I have concerns about Will Levis like everybody else does, especially when the offensive line isn't particularly good. Defensively, Simmons is great up front. They replaced their nose tackle with a rookie, Tavondre Sweat, right? Yep. So they're trying to beef up their defensive line a little bit. Losing Kevin Byard hurts them. Obviously, he got traded to Philadelphia midway through the year, but losing a veteran presence back there hurt. So they go out and get Quandre Diggs, who I've always had a lot of respect for, was really good in Seattle, was solid in Detroit, but he's not Byard in terms of ball hawking ability. And he's a little bit older, and he's, there's questions on the back end. The depth is where they get hurt. Their second unit, I don't think, is particularly good on either side of the ball. Their special teams are good. They got the best punter in the game. Ryan Stonehouse, I think, is as good as it gets. He set an NFL record the last 2 years in terms of punting average. They may need that a whole lot. They may get into field goal range. They trust Nick Folk. He's hit 78 straight inside of 40. If that's the number that we're going to, I'm sure this is the jinx thing that I always laugh at because there's no such thing as announcer's jinx. But when Nick Folk lines up for a 39-yard field goal, he has an NFL record. He's made 78 in a row inside of 40 yards, hasn't missed one since like 2021. And if he blows it, all right, that's the announcer's jinx that maybe you guys can think about on Sunday.
When he misses from 38 on Sunday, we will post that clip immediately.
Beautiful.
We already know.
Lock it up right now.
That's awesome.
You got one more, Carl?
I got like 7 more, but yes, I'll do one more. That was an unbelievable just run through right there.
That was really good.
I was going through my Titans notes. I'm like, oh, yep. Adam Amin just literally got every single thing.
Hey, man, their receivers are good. They brought in Tyler Boyd from Cincinnati, who was with Callahan. I think he's a great slot receiver. I like Hopkins. I like Calvin Ridley, who's gotten a lot of praise in the preseason. But Levis has to get him the ball, and they've got to protect him. And if the Bears can get a pass rush, it's a short day for them. It's going to be a much easier day if you're winning first and second down against Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard, and put him into 3rd and long. Let Montez Sweat get a little action going, and maybe whoever's playing opposite of him get some pass rush, and hopefully you're limiting them to 5 plays a drive, 6 plays a drive, and get a punt and set up your offense and let Caleb get a lot of reps.
You already made the Bears fans mad, and the game didn't even start. They're
because
upset
Torrey Taylor?
You didn't mention Torrey Taylor.
He hasn't played an NFL regular season game yet. Ryan Stonehouse literally set the NFL. He broke Sammy Baugh's 80-year-old record a couple of years ago for punting average. Do I think Torrey Taylor can do that? Yeah, I do. But he's got to do it in the NFL. He's got to do it in the regular season.
Great punting matchup week 1.
It actually is. This actually
is great.
Underrated punting matchup.
I'm excited.
Underrated punting matchup. Stonehouse against Taylor. Come on.
Just a couple Adams talking.
I get excited for the punting, man.
It's wonderful that it's not week 16 and the Bears are, what would that be? Whatever, 5-10, and it's like, all right, we got a great punting
matchup. Great punting.
Week 1, baby.
Oh, and there's Caleb too. Adam, thank you so much for coming in, man.
Thank you guys.
We really
man. Always
appreciate
a pleasure
it.
to talk to you guys.
Thanks.
Just
Appreciate it.
absolute professional, good friend.
I'll give one more. When I go to the United Center and he's super busy, you're shaking hands with literally everyone. The security to the. I mean, like he
Kenny's
knows
my
everyone.
guy, man. Kenny's my dude.
Well, it's a good
Incredible
trait.
human being.
It's a
Nah,
beautiful thing.
It's
I
good
love it.
people, man. I
All
appreciate
right.
you guys.
Well, again, thank you so much for coming in. We're going to bring Braggs back in here. We're going to make our season predictions next. But first, make sure you're checking out Circa this weekend. Whether it's pro or college, the app to bet football is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. We've talked about that. They don't use those chat bots. They got real people behind the app that will resolve issues. You can bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. I went 4-1 in college just to start. Yeah, a little 4-1.
Oh, Hoge. Flex it, Hoge.
Yeah. Spreads, props, futures, or in-game. Circa Sports has it. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And it's getting easier for businesses to switch to electric vehicles. Nicholas Moreano, that's something we can all get behind. It's for the health of the planet and for the well-being of all of us who share it.
That's right, Mark. The electric grid is evolving to meet your cleaner energy needs as we all move with confidence towards an electric tomorrow. Whether you have one delivery van or a whole fleet of shipping trucks, ComEd can help guide you to make changes that make sense.
That's right, Nicholas.
So what should business owners do? Welcome back, Greg.
They should go to ComEd.com/clean to learn more about the resources,
HR.
fleet rebates, and infrastructure incentives available to help businesses go electric. If you own a business, don't wait. Start making your plan today to switch to electric vehicles. Good for business, good for the planet, and good for all of us. Go to ComEd.com/clean.
Did you just say ComEd.com/clean?
I did. So go now and see how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
Supposed to say you bet your sweet bippy I did.
No, there's no-
See, Adam Amin leaves, and then you enter,
The
and then
vibe changed a lot.
it's
a real
it is-
downgrade.
it's
We went
interesting,
from-
yeah
Super
Professional
professional.
Fox Sports.
to
Yeah.
hitting Carman with pillows.
Adam actually came in with a sport jacket, took it off because it was
It was too
and
professional.
then we got
He's gone now.
his Michael Jordan T-shirt.
I wore the Bulls shirt in honor of
Stitches.
Adam Amin.
Okay,
Calls Bulls games.
he does. That's a fact.
Mhm.
All right, it is that time.
Oh God,
Oh boy, where we
I'm scared.
It is that time where we make our season predictions.
Wow, I'm nervous.
And
Same.
you know, just
you're
to,
so smart.
just to recap, last
Because
year.
I actually have something to live up to because I get these things right, so it matters to me. Keep going. Sorry.
So last year, I'm gonna stick to my formula, because the formula did not betray me last year. It was myself who betrayed me. I do this every year.
You got me bald.
We got a group. Instead of picking every single game, which you guys can do it however you want, but the way I do it is I break it down into games the Bears should win, the game the Bears should lose, adjust it by about a game on each one of those. I look at the point spreads then that are kind of more of the toss-up games, and then from there we look at certain factors. And the one thing that last year I was obviously wrong about was I said Justin Fields was going to make the leap, and that was worth a win. So that didn't happen.
Right.
And then I also had a stupid one in there where I just said, just because they're going to get one more win. So in the end, I said 10-7. They ended up 7-10, and we all know there are 3 games in there they should have won. So I still feel pretty good about the prediction. We were in that range. And now we're going to try this again. So here we go. My official season prediction for the Chicago Bears, which I've spent a lot of time debating between 2 records. But here's how it breaks down. The Bears have 5 games that, according to Vegas, they should win. And this year I'm going off the point spreads of being at least 3.5-point favorites or more. So more than a field goal favorite. There's 5 of those already the Bears are favored in. And so it's 5 games they should win. I always take one of those away because we know it's the NFL and things don't always come to go the way they're supposed to. They will probably lose one of those games because it's just the NFL. So right there, that's 4 wins off the bat if you're counting at home. They have 4 games that they should lose where they are more than a field goal underdog. Same kind of logic. They will win one of those games. There's always that surprise game that they will win. So there's 5 wins in the total right there. That leaves 8 games. And this is actually, guys, kind of an interesting stat. It shows you that how much this season could sway one way or the other. But 8 of their games, the point spreads right now are within 2 points, plus or minus. I mean, we're talking toss-up games, 8 of them, basically half the season. I'm going to say of those 8 games, you can pretty much chalk down that they're going to win 2 of them at minimum. I think 2 and 6 would be a very conservative way to look at that. So there's 2 more wins there. So we're up to 7, guys. 7 wins. So how high can we go?
Go.
All right.
Go.
One of my favorite stats is rest advantage. And last year, the Bears had the highest rest advantage in the league. They do not have that high, but they are still in the green. They are still higher up on that list. I think it might still be top 5 in rest advantage this season, but that will result in 1 more win. So we are up to 8. Now, last year, my bold prediction, by the way, we're doing that later, was that the Bears would be top 5 in takeaways. They were top 5 in takeaways.
Very nice.
That will be hard to replicate. Turnovers do not always translate from season to season. But I do think they will improve their overall turnover differential, which is very important. They were +3 last year, despite being top 5 in takeaways, because they turned the ball over too much on the other side. And I think that the quarterback change will result in fewer turnovers, even though Caleb Williams is a rookie. I think the overall turnover differential, even if the Bears don't get as many overall takeaways, will still go up. That is worth a win. So that brings us to 9 wins. How high can we go? How high can we go?
Keep going.
I'm going to double down on my prediction from last year that I was wrong on, because this year I've been telling you this since really December of last year. The Caleb Williams floor is where Justin Fields' ceiling already was. And I do think Caleb is worth an extra win. Just improved quarterback play from last year is worth 1 W. So we are up to 10 wins, which brings me to this year's big question, guys. Can this team finally beat the Green Bay Packers? Because I think this is the difference between 10 wins and 11 wins when it's all said and done. Can they get that elusive win? I'm not even asking for 2. Just beat the Packers 1 time. And my answer to that is I'm sticking to what my rule has been now for a couple of years. I am not picking the Bears to beat the Packers until they prove they can do it.
Ooh.
So as much as I want to say this is an 11-6 season, they have to prove it. They have to beat Green Bay first. So I'm not doing that. 10-7 is my official prediction for the Chicago Bears in 2024.
Good.
Logical. Makes a lot of sense. A lot of good
I had to
stats
get a beer
in there.
for that. Congratulations.
All right, who's up?
You need to get it together.
Cool. Okay.
I am together, and you really. I thought you were going higher, so I was going to drink to it, but that's fine. You stuck there, 10-7. Hi. You want me to go next?
I think, yes, you should go next, Mark.
All right. Well, listen. As the resident holder of the person who got it right last year at 7-10, because I do know this team at levels that are just frightening, and
I am frightened by you every day.
yes, well.
I love your little comments.
I do feel a certain amount of pressure to back it up. And look, this is a very tough schedule on the back end, Gregory.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll take you through it. First of all, I think that the Bears are going to split with every single team in the division. I think they're going to beat the Lions. I think they're going to beat the Packers. I think they're going to beat the Vikings. I think they're going to lose to all 3 of them too. All right? I think that the back end is a lot of trouble. When you look at playing on Sunday against Minnesota, and then you got to play Thursday against Detroit, and then you're playing on a Sunday against San Francisco, then you got a Monday game. They're all over the map. Plus the fact they're early in the season, you're going to, we got to go to London, which we're going to have a great time. Come with us, by the way. I don't know how you're going to get there now because you kind of waited, but I assume that you'll get there. I'm excited for all of it. I think the Bears are going to start 1-2. I think they're going to beat the Titans. I think they're going to lose their next 2 road games, but I think they're going to go on a prolonged run right there. We're going to have some excitement rolling with the Rams, with Carolina, with Jacksonville. London's going to be a party. I think they come back off the bye, and I think that somehow, some way, the Washington Commanders get them. The bottom line is, I like to look at Vegas at the end of this team. And Vegas right now, 8.5 is the number. The money is on the under. Public, as I see in the comments every day, for those of you who are yelling at me, you are always wrong. The public is going to be wrong this year. The Bears are going over. But I will be the lowest guy on the show. 9-8. Up, down, around. Up, down, around. Up, down, around. Win streak, lose streak. 9-8. Bears positive. Over 500. Bears. 9-8. Carm, back-to-back. Gregory.
What was that up, down, around?
I don't know what happened there at the end, but the rest of it made sense to me.
I think they're gonna have a prolonged win.
They're gonna
streak.
go up and they're gonna go down.
And
What's
they're gonna-
the around?
It was like one of those cheat codes you do,
Just
like for
win
Mortal
one
Kombat.
week.
Left,
Ooh,
right,
up, down,
left,
Yeah,
right.
that's just up and
Fatality?
down. I'm trying to figure out the
How'd that
around
go?
part.
I don't know.
It's
It's like
around.
up, down, round.
We're having two different conversations on this
Yeah,
show. Right
there's 3 shows going on right now. But back to the one show, around to me,
now. I miss Adam Amin already.
I miss him too. 9-8. Thank you. Around is when you win one, you lose one. That's an around. You're doing a circle.
Okay, we're making things up
Greg,
here.
Yes, sir.
You're up, buddy.
Well, as your resident meatball, I said at the beginning of the offseason that I was going to do everything in my power to resist the meatball urge, right? And as we went into training camp, early on, it looked shaky, so I was able to kind of hold serve. Then the preseason game started up, and I started to freak out a little bit because Caleb Williams did look very good in the reps that we got to see him, play. This defense has always been something that I think we all feel confident they'll be able to carry over. So that being said, when I start to look at this schedule and see how it lays out, it's hard for me to not see this team win week 1. They're going to win week 1. I'll give you the Texans game. I like walking into that game with house money. That's why I kind of deemed week 1 as a must win. Walk into week 2 with house money. You can do whatever you want week 2. Won't bother me nothing. Then you got the Colts, the Rams, the Panthers, the Jags, the Commanders, the Cardinals, the Patriots. I could see the Bears winning every single one of those games. The Colts do not scare me one iota. That will be a home game for the Chicago Bears. Anthony Richardson, he doesn't scare me. I know the Colts are a solid team, not saying they're not. Then you got the Rams at home, Panthers, the Ryan Poles party. Come on now. London. They're not if I'm flying all the way to London, they're not losing that goddamn game. Then you got the Commanders and Cardinals, Patriots. I feel good.
That's excellent logic.
Yeah, it is. Well, and it's also about momentum, right? As they build this momentum, as we saw in 2018 with the Club Dub Bears.
Club Dub.
They weren't a perfect team. They were a flawed team, but they were playing with their hair on fire. And man, if this team strings off wins early and there's a belief in this city, we've seen it every single time the Bears have been good in my lifetime. It's flawed teams playing with their hair on fire that just will their way to wins week to week. I could see that being the case for this year's team. Now you get into the tough part of their schedule where you've got the divisional opponents 3 in a row, Packers, Vikings, Bears. They're losing to the Pack until they beat them. I'm with you, Hoge. Until they prove they can beat them, hard to pick them to beat the Pack. But the Vikings, the Lions, come on now. Like, what are we talking about here? I'm not afraid of either of those teams. Bears match up well with the Lions. Vikings, not worried about them. Niners on the road. Obviously, that's a tough game. Goes without saying. Again, Vikings, Lions, back-to-back. That is the Lions' second outdoor game of the season. December 22nd.
It's nuts.
Yeah, that
That's
is
crazy.
actually one of the crazier stats.
Yeah. So it's bizarre. So they got to come outdoors, play in Chicago. Last time they were in Chicago last year, Bears whipped them. Then you've got the short week turnaround against the Seahawks at home. So the Seahawks have to travel all the way across the country, come play in Chicago on a night game.
Chicago's in the middle of the country.
You're in the middle of the country. And then the
True.
Packers'
True.
final week
You're
of the
not wrong.
season. So I'm not going to go through it the way Hoge did. Certainly not going to go through it the way Carm just did because he's an idiot. But what I am going to say is I could see this team stringing off a bunch of wins. I could sit here and say 12
What's
wins.
the
or
prediction?
13. I could say a lot of different things, and I have said a lot of different things. But I am going to stick to what I said to start the year. They're going to win 10 games. 10-7. You can talk about all the different variables, but there's so many different things context-wise that you just can't put into play. Momentum, injuries, there's a lot of things that I can't predict week to week. So I have the Bears sticking to my 10-7. I'm going to stay honest and not overcook the meatball. 10-7.
That was one of the greatest all-time predictions ever.
Thank you.
Really
He went on for 6 minutes about how they could win every game and then went 10-7.
Thank you.
He's trying not to jinx it. He's doing weird brags things. I thought the Dr. Truth is the winner in this whole thing, by the way, because I did make the greatest bet of all time last year when this guy to my left was telling us how great Chase Claypool was. And I said, I'll bet you Robert Tonyan has more touchdown catches than Chase Claypool. And I would have been right had Robert Tonyan not been the worst tight end
Against the Browns.
Tight end. Claypool had 1 and Tonyan had none. So I actually do owe you lunch. It was a great call by me. Just Tonyan sucked to a level that I couldn't even believe.
Wow.
But I was dead right on Claypool. Now to you.
Who was the last wide receiver not named DJ Moore to score a touchdown for the Bears?
Right, exactly.
Darnold?
Chase freaking
Chase
Claypool.
Claypool,
That's really
Chase
sad.
Claypool.
Let's end that one soon.
All right, guys, let's put a wrap to the season predictions. I'll give you mine. So what I did, I looked back at the beginning when the schedule was released to see what did I have. Like you, Greg, and Adam, I had 10-7. You know, we went through training camp. We saw Caleb Williams in the preseason. We saw how that all played out. I had to make a slight adjustment. Because when I look at the schedule and how it plays out, of course, we already talked about the back half is daunting. But I think like what Adam Amin was talking about, by the time that Caleb Williams, that offense, gets to that point, I think they're going to be in a position to win some of those tough games that maybe early on they wouldn't have won. Like I still have them losing week 2 Sunday Night Football against Houston. But when I'm looking at that back half and what all those, like you mentioned good teams, Greg, like some of those Bears teams, the common denominator between all of them, they never had a quarterback. And yet they were able to kind of string together some good seasons. I think we all believe up here that Caleb Williams can be not only a good quarterback, but possibly great.
Wow.
And it's not just that because it's a rookie season, we can't hold him to those expectations. He should be able to get there, given his talent, the weapons around him. So when I came down to the conclusion of this season, is 10-7 for me. I think when I made that prediction, it was almost playing safe.
Yeah.
I was playing safe, like 10. They can't go over that. I changed that today. That last game against Green Bay now switched to a W. And also I had, crazy in the first season schedule, I had a 7-game winning streak. Broke that up to about 5 in the middle of the season between Carolina through Minnesota. It becomes a 5-game winning streak. But I have the Bears winning 11 games. They do split with all the division. Actually, they sweep Minnesota in my predictions because no J.J. McCarthy. I think that's going to be a team in shambles right now for at least 2024. But this Bears team has Caleb Williams and has playmakers around him. Yes, they didn't get an opposite edge rusher, opposite of Montez Sweat, but they still have Montez Sweat. They still have a secondary that can absolutely roll this season, and their linebacking group is arguably the best in the NFL, top 5 at least. This team can win 11 games. I pushed myself to put it there because I thought 10 was being too safe. 11 wins, and I became the meatball of the show today.
Wow.
Look at that.
Wow. Congratulations.
Turntables.
Way to go.
That's amazing. All right. There you have it.
I feel
From
really
11 to we're all kind of in the same range.
We're all the same
and it's
boat.
the
It's a
NFL.
game,
And I do
yeah.
think this really is the range. I've been telling people that when people stop me at training camp, pretty much everyone I talk to is like probably somewhere between 8 and 11 wins.
Right.
But
And last year it was like 7-10.
yeah, and we were
lot
on
of
it,
people-
and that's where it
and a-
ended up being.
And a lot of people were picking 9. And so for me, the thing that I always said last year was anything less than 7 is a disappointment. So the statement I attach to this team is anything less than 8 is a disappointment.
I agree.
If they only win 8 games, I'm gonna like depending on the
Well, it
context.
depends the context. Yeah,
I'm gonna probably throw up a few times, but
because it is the NFL. There's
Right.
teams get
One bad
injury
yeah.
luck. All types of
That's it.
stuff can happen.
it certainly moves up at least a game. You could almost sell me on the fact that anything less than 9 could be a disappointment if you look at this schedule.
I would sell you on that. I would try to.
And I might buy that, but at the end of the day, what Hoge said earlier in his schedule prediction, like, no, they shouldn't. When you say they should have won 10 games, they could have won 10 games last year. They also barely won a few games they could have lost. So those go hand in hand. So to me, yes, they could have won 9 games last year. They definitely should have at least won 8. and when you consider the 3 they blew. So to me, you start to use that fan math to transfer it over to this season, and I think there's a very reasonable expectation.
I know we got a lot I know we got a lot to get to here. I think the range is wider than what you're saying. I literally think the Bears have a very wide range. I think the quarterback's going to be good, but I don't know. I think they're going to be able to get to.
But stop. I'm going to stop you right there. Do you think he's going to be bad?
I think there's.
I'll be shocked if he's bad.
I will be. I'm not going to say bad.
Do you think there's a world in that he's worse than Justin Fields was?
No,
last year?
I do not think that.
Okay, then right there, that's a huge factor right there that says that they shouldn't dip below what they did last year.
That's 7.
That's well.
The one thing, and I don't even want to say it into existence, but I'll do it just for the sake of this conversation. But
I'm scared.
They lose Montez Sweat for any stretch of time. That is a death nail because they will not have a pass rush at that point. And now when you talk about what can affect the schedule in a very negative way, to me, if you rank who they can't afford to lose list, Montez Sweat is number 1.
That's a better
ahead
argument
of
than
Caleb Williams.
It's a fair point that you're making. That listen, you're putting the quarterback as more of a less of an outlier. He's going to be solid, which I have a hard time pushing back on that. I still think though that he could be somebody that has a lot more turnovers than we have with Justin, as far as throwing the football. So which could skew the wins down, which I'd be fine with. By the way, go ahead.
Those are our season predictions. We got locks of the year. And we got bold predictions. So let's get through these somewhat quickly. Lock of the year for me. And you might remember that I brought this up on the schedule release show special that we had. But are you guys aware? I don't know how many people actually know this. The Lions have lost 7 straight games on Thanksgiving.
It's a great step.
Even though they've been getting better, they still lose that game. Lost to the Packers last year on Thanksgiving. It was kind of the game that sort of flipped the Packers' whole season around. And it wasn't as close as the score indicated even. 3 of those 7 losses came to the Chicago Bears. I don't know if you've checked over the last 7 years. Have not been a very good football team.
Mm-mm.
The Bears have gone in there 3 times in the last 7 years and beat the Lions on Thanksgiving. The Bears are a 4-point underdog right now. And so for those of you that might want to check out Circa and look at advanced lines, the Bears covering that spread is my lock of the year. I think there's a very good chance they win outright. But if they're getting 4 points too, right now, my lock of the year by far, it might be across the whole NFL, is that 4-point spread in Detroit. It's already a good matchup for the Bears. So even from an X's and O's standpoint, I think there's value in it. And then I think on top of that, when you look at the history of that matchup, the Lions' history on Thanksgiving, I think 4 points is a lock in the Bears' favor.
That's interesting. You could make that your bold prediction there, Hoge, but I like it. Bears, Lions.
Super specific too.
Yeah.
Well, for my bold prediction, what I just said gets bolder.
Okay, I can't wait. My lock of the year, I took the easy way here. Caleb Williams, I believe is his name, Bears rookie quarterback. He is going to set not only the Bears rookie record for passing yards, but he is also going to set the rookie record for touchdown passes. That's right, baby. Lock of the year. He is beating 2,193 yards of Mitch Trubisky in 2017. He has taken that down. He's got that. 2017, you're in the rearview mirror. I mean, Justin almost got there. He got to 1870, didn't quite get there. Woo! 2193, you're going down. And 9 touchdown passes. Kyle Orton, 2005. Jim McMahon, 1982. You're going to sit down too. He's coming for you. He's getting at least 10 touchdown passes and over 2,193 yards. Lock it down. Caleb, I'm all in, baby. You can do it. I took an easy one here.
That's a good one, though.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It would not have been a bold prediction.
He said it's a lot.
But it's definitely a lot.
That's a lot.
It ain't bold.
That's why these are 2 different things.
2194 and 10 touchdowns. Lock it in.
I love that, but it's like it also makes me sad knowing that
Oh,
those were the
stupid.
records that he has to beat. Come on now. Crazy.
Greg, go ahead.
All right, so my lock of the year. Everybody keeps talking about with the wide receivers. Are they all going to get 1,000 yards? Well, I'll tell you right now, the lock is that DJ Moore will get 1,000 yards receiving. It will be his 5th time in the last 6 years where he reaches that mark. I mean, last year he had 1,300 plus yards
Career
receiving with Justin Fields as a career high. You know, he is one of 5 players in the history of the NFL at his age to have, look, if you look at this, most receiving yards before turning 27 in NFL history, Randy Moss, DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans, Larry Fitzgerald, and DJ Moore. That's elite company. And he's done that with different quarterbacks throughout his career. Sam Darnold, you know, you had PJ Walker and then Justin Fields last year. He will do it again. Lock it in. DJ Moore, over 1,000 yards receiving with Caleb Williams.
Like it a lot, Greg. My lock of the year, I'm going to the defensive side of the ball. And we were talking about Montez Sweat, how important he is to this team. Well, I think he's going to get 15 sacks this season.
Woof.
He had 12 and a half technically playing for both the Commanders and Bears last season. And this is another year in this system, knowing who he's going to be lining up against. And I think that's going to matter for him, even though he doesn't have guys technically opposite of him. If Javon Dexter does take that next step like we're anticipating, that's going to give Montez Sweat a little bit more flexibility to kind of win those one-on-ones. But I've seen him throughout training camp whoop Darnell Wright, and I think Darnell Wright's a good right tackle. But Montez Sweat is just that good of a pass rusher. So by the end of this season, Montez Sweat, not just double-digit sacks, but 15 for my lock of the year, Montez Sweat.
That could have been your bold prediction. For a lock, that's a bold lock.
I got a bolder
We just created a new segment, our bold locks of the year.
Boldy locks.
I went for the very weak lock.
Boldy locks in the 3 Bears. Don't cringe over there, Steven.
Baldy
He's
locks.
cringing. He's
Maybe
cringing.
we'll do Baldy locks tomorrow with Baldy.
Baldy
We'll be on
locks.
tomorrow's show,
Ooh,
by
I
the way.
like that.
All right. We got to get to our bold predictions. Now, I just gave you that the Bears will be the Lions on Thanksgiving. Actually, I didn't give you that. I said they'd cover. But I think they will beat the Lions on Thanksgiving. That's not the bold prediction. They should have beaten the Lions twice last year. They blew the game in Detroit, and that one felt like gut-wrenching. And yet a few weeks later, they came to Soldier Field, and the Bears doubled down. They're like, no, that was not a fluke. Like, it's a good matchup. For whatever reason, the Bears match up well against the Lions. And I think that continues this season. I think the Bears, with their defense and with Caleb Williams as an upgraded quarterback, I think they take down the Lions twice. The NFC North champions, the team that almost made it to the Super Bowl last year, they had a great season. Bears beat the Lions twice this season.
All right. I'm going to go with my boldness to a man that I think a lot of us had cut. And his name is Velus Jones Jr. And I'm looking at you, Shane Waldron. I'm looking straight at you. You saw what happened when Velus got the football in the backfield. You see that there are few other running backs in the league, let alone on this roster. DeAndre Swift's got that shake, but this pure speed of Velus is number 1 on the roster. So, Velus Jones Jr., ye of 154 rushing yards in 2 seasons on 17 carries, which is over 9 yards a carry. The Bears are actually going to lean into it, and I am taking Velus to have over, it's not a ton of numbers here, but not a huge number, but 250 yards on the ground this year. Velus Jones Jr., he will become more than just the 1 carry a game, 1 yard fall down Velus. 250 on the ground, Velus Jones Jr., bold prediction, bolded in.
In a game?
Not in the game. For the season. 250.
I almost got him to say it. Before I get to my bold prediction, want to give a quick shout out to all the diehards out there and tell you how to become a diehard. If you want to watch the rest of this program, make sure you go over to our YouTube channel, search CHGO Sports. If you're watching on Roku, we appreciate you guys tuning in. But when you become a diehard, you get podcasts every day. Bears, Bulls, Cubs, Blackhawks, White Sox, Sky, every single team that plays here in Chicago. We cover them. Post-game shows, make sure you tune in all season long with us. Pre- and post-game shows. Premium written content exclusive for diehards for members at allchgo.com. 20% off events. You get a free shirt right out the gate. We have the Claws Up shirt that just dropped here recently. Get that shirt for yourself for game day. If you sign up to become a diehard, get it for free. Then you get discounts on all shirts going forward. You get discounts on our tailgates. We have a tailgate coming up here in 5 days. I will be there at 7 in the morning for you fine people. Make sure you get there. Hang out with us. We're going to be having some Miller Lite, some Firewater barbecue over at the corner of Wabash and Cermak. You guys can come over to our tailgates and have some fun. But there's so many different opportunities when you become a diehard here at CHGO Sports. It makes it worth your while, and you're supporting our cause, and we appreciate you guys doing that. Now, to my bold predictions, guys.
Oh, predictions.
Caleb Williams, ladies and gentlemen, is going to break the franchise record for touchdowns in a season. That's right. 29 touchdowns. It's been a number we've talked about many years here in Chicago. Never been touched since Eric Kramer. Eric Kramer in the mid-90s is the last to get close to 30. We've never had a quarterback hit 30 touchdowns in a season. Jay Cutler once came close. Caleb Williams is going to do it in his rookie season. There's only been 4 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL as a rookie to throw 26 or more touchdowns. He's not only going to be number 5, but he's going to hit that 30 touchdown benchmark, maybe even 31, which is the NFL rookie record with Justin Herbert. But I got Caleb Williams slinging the rock. Everybody wants to say, they're going to establish the run this year. They're going to, keep it safe with Caleb's development. Nope. Caleb Williams probably going to throw 3 touchdowns here on Sunday. How's that for a meatball take?
Wow, that's awesome, Greg. Okay. Well, I don't know if I can get bolder than that, but I'm sticking with defense for all these predictions. Kyler Gordon talked about what he wanted to do this season, put some high goals for himself. I think he gets the 5+ interceptions that he's been looking for. The most he's ever had in a season would be 3 going back to 2022, but this is a guy that hasn't been able to actually stay fully healthy for an entire year. If he could do that, he's definitely capable of getting himself some turnovers, and I think Kyler Gordon in this defense makes a difference. But the 5+ turnovers that he's looking for in 2024, I think he gets that. All interceptions. Kyler Gordon, Spider-Man, has a big 2024 season that will probably earn himself a Pro Bowl nod as well.
Let's go, Nick. Let's go, Spidey.
That's another
It's
conversation.
a good question from Brad in the chat. Carm, from your prediction, do you think Caleb breaks the rookie records before even playing the Packers of 2,100 yards and 9 touchdown passes before they even play the Packers?
Week 11, Packers.
So that would be he'd have to average.
I would say touchdowns, yes. Yards, no.
How many would he have to
only have to average a little over 200 yards a game, right?
But that would put him over 4,000 for the season.
There's a bye week in there, too.
Yeah, there's one bye week, so okay. Good. Hey, Brad, I like you said in the bar high. And Braggs, by the way, if he does what you just said, they're not going 10-7. That's an 11-12 win team if he throws 30+ touchdowns. Defense ain't that bad.
And that's
Bold prediction.
Well, like I said, there's just a lot of variables that go into it. Sometimes you lose games you shouldn't. So I don't want to speak injuries into existence, but they do happen. So those are all taken into consideration. I'm always more for the week-to-week prediction than the before-the-season prediction because I like to have context week-to-week to predict
It's easier.
those.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, it's easier.
Yeah.
And it makes more sense to make those predictions.
Of course.
By the way, shout out to our brand new diehards today. Robert, Patrick, James, Randall, Peter, Fred, Randy, and Curtis.
Let's go.
A big group over Labor Day weekend joining us. They all got a free T-shirt for signing up. They get 20% off all merch and all events, including our tailgates, which are starting on Sunday. And if you're not there, Braggs is going to personally come to your house and yell at you.
I will. Go to allchgo.com/events. You can sign up for tailgates for every home game this season. So whatever game you're going to, we will be there. Corner of Wabash and Cermak with our guys over at the Chicago Bears Tailgating Club. All you can drink Miller Lite, all you can eat Firewater Barbecue, and all the good vibes you can possibly have. Come out, hang out with us. They are the gold standard in Chicago Bears tailgating. You come out, I promise you, You will not be disappointed.
Listen, Sweet and Sour is going to be there. Which that guy's amazing. You got to meet him in person though, and then the food, the drink, the Titans, the Bears.
We'll be there.
Last year's week 1 tailgate the energy was unbelievable. So I'm so excited
was.
for Sunday.
And then the game was the opposite. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
Jordan
I will
Love
be
looked
there
like-
from 8 to 9:30 because we got a pregame show to do. So if you're wondering, those are the 90 minutes I will be at the tailgate this week.
I'm going to go from 8:13 to a 9:48er. So
Hater.
come on in.
There you go. All right. Do we have super chats? Let's get supers and let's get out of here. We got Zero Demon, $10. Adam Amin equals the best voice in broadcasting. I'm sure Carm will take offense to that.
He's great.
It's
amazing.
a little rude, but I can't deny what's going on here.
Fran Chile, $9.99. Got tickets for both the game and the CHGO tailgate this Sunday. I cannot wait to go to my first Bears game and also see you guys at the tailgate beforehand. Bear down.
Let's go.
Hell yeah, that's
Come
awesome.
say hi to me, Fran.
Gritty, $10. What a glorious kickoff to week 1 with an awesome guest in Adam Amin. Let's go. And by the way, we did not plan this.
Gritty's my hero.
That's the second week 1 that we've kicked off in a row with the Fox broadcaster who's calling the game.
It was
'Cause
Kevin Burkhardt.
Kevin Burkhardt joined us on the Tuesday last week, or last year, I should say.
Gotta keep it going.
Maybe we should have switched that up since the game didn't go well for the Bears.
Oh.
So now we can blame Adam if they
No,
lose.
that
But
was
now that you said it, it's the reverse jinx.
I reversed. Okay,
a brag.
you
Stuff.
acknowledge the jinx, and the jinx doesn't happen. Pizzatola, his lock of the year coming in, a $2 super chat. The lock of the year, Carm is an idiot all 17 weeks.
Wow.
That's my guy. You're so consistent. It's frightening, Pizzy.
Lock of the year.
And
Pizzatola.
Brad jumping in $1.99 with just being
His
Brad
name?
He's Brad.
and supporting the show. We appreciate you, Brad.
The big brain on Brad.
All right. Fun show today. We got a lot going on here. There's exciting news to share this week, too. So be locked into all our social channels. It's all happening. Week 1.
We're
Bears
here.
Titans coming. We also have a brand new episode of the 85 with Cole Kmet coming out sometime in the next 24 hours, I believe. And so you got that to look forward to. Make sure you go subscribe to that channel. It's a separate YouTube channel, the 85 with Cole Kmet. And then Crystal's going to end the show here, $4.99. Can't wait to see you all. Excited for the season. Bear down.
Reason number 1 to come to the tailgate. Crystal will be there.
We're back tomorrow at noon. Normal time, normal shows. It's Wednesday.
Not normal people.
Kayla Williams talks at House Hall. Nick will be there. We'll break it all down for you. Talk to you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.